Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, we'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Allen versus Craig. But before we get into the predictions, we're going to recap last week's card, go over a couple topics, that's trending topics from that card. And so last week I went I believe 11-1, not quite sure, but I only had one loss and that was Dern. So only had one loss, the parlay hit. So yeah. So whenever you have one loss, that's a good thing. Much better to have zero, but hey, one's phenomenal as well. And the parlay hit. Like the parlay for me was under 2.5 in the Pereira versus Prohaska fight. And I felt like that was I think by itself that prop was minus 165, which was crazy given the fact that Prohaska don't go to the distance and Pereira's a finisher as well. So for the fact that fight you could afford the fight to be able to still go in the third round. And it would end like the second round. So yeah, that was a great steal on it. And I parlayed that with Joshua Van and Urseg money line. So I had a 3 play parlay in that one hit. So at least the public one. I had other parlays. I think all my parlays hit. Matter of fact, I think all of my parlays hit. I think the only thing that didn't hit that week was the second round sub prop or something for Mackenzie Dern, which I didn't put much investment in at all. And it was just something just to fill the board or kind of diversify it a little bit. But I think every other thing I put on there hit last week. So last week was phenomenal on predictions and betting. So phenomenal. And how'd you do, NickyBets?
Man, I did phenomenal. I got to basically go to the event for free because I bet a big parlay, a 7-leg parlay. I bet on the night. I went Lupi Godinez fight over 1.5, Steve Urseg fight over 1.5, Mackenzie Dern over 1.5, straight up Tom Aspinall, Alex Pereira under 3.5. I went with. Benoit Saint Denis versus Matt Favola fight doesn't go to decision, and Diego Lopes, and that was plus like 1,600. So I made and I had a 33% profit booster on it, so I made like 3.5 grand on top of what I already made from my regular parlays. So that's pretty good. It was a tough week, to be honest. I went 10-2. The only one I think we disagreed on was the Benoit versus Matt Favola, and Matt Favola was in there until he wasn't. You know what I mean? Like he was putting the work in on Benoit, and Benoit's just slick, man. You have to be careful, and Favola didn't put his hands up far enough, and Benoit caught him right in the face. It looked like he was raising his hands, and you could see it, and he was like going backwards. I think he thought he might be going for a body kick because he was healing out. So he might have thought, you know what I mean? He's going to go for the body so he can at least try and hit me. So, because he's not going to hit my face, but it happens. I'm not mad with it. I would still go Matt Favola if the week went back and you asked me the same question. I think because Matt Favola would make the proper adjustments so that he wouldn't get caught so easily. It was a great card though. I loved it, man. I had a blast in person. It was really fun. My other parlay hit, the one that we did on the channel last week. It was Alex Pearce fight doesn't go to decision. Matt Favola's fight doesn't go to decision. Steve Urseg and Tom Aspinall, I believe, and all those hit. So it was a great week for both of us. I'm really happy with how we did. But what do you think's next for Benoit after that performance?
Benoit, I feel like he's definitely like has his sights much higher, but I don't think he's gonna get a Gaethje matchup. Don't think he's gonna get a Poirier. I think RDA does make some sense. I don't think that's the matchup he's looking for, but that might be the matchup he needs to have. I think Gamrot could be a good fight, but I feel like Gamrot's in a position where, he kind of deserves a title shot, kind of, but I feel like he really doesn't, in my opinion. If I had to personally say, I feel like he doesn't really deserve a title shot, and I don't feel like he's an interesting matchup at all for anyone in the title picture. So, yeah, I feel, you got Charles Oliveira waiting, you got Gaethje waiting, so he's still like a third string or fourth string, so, and, yeah, so I feel Gamrot. I feel like Gamrot's the best fight for him. You got an interesting guy coming up. You got Gamrot in there who hasn't really been impressing no one, to be honest. So throw him in there with a guy and give him a chance to, have a present for me. Like, you're supposed to be this top guy. You want a title shot so bad. So beat this guy right here who's doing, what you need to do when you want a title shot. You go out there and finishing guys. So you go out there and you're supposed to be so much better than him. You're like champion, like with two-division champion and what KSW or something and all this other stuff. These accolades now show it. Go out there, finish this guy that's hungry, that's way beneath you, or get finished by him and give your spot up. So I think that makes sense because again, he's still like third or fourth string, so he need to do something. He need to do some work. So I think that's a good matchup for him next. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good matchup. I think Gamrot's probably the best way to go, considering there's already two people ahead of him. I mean, two people ahead of Gamrot for the title, which is Justin Gaethje and Charles Oliveira. I would like to see him maybe win the winner of Arman Tsarukyan versus Beneil Dariush, and whoever wins that is third in line for a title shot, or even Gamrot versus Benoit, and a legacy fight would be a good fight. Rafael dos Anjos, I do like that one as well. Just on pure ability. I think it would be a good fight. But yeah, it was a great card. What do you think is next for Tom Aspinall? Man, that was crazy.
On Tom Aspinall, like, there's really not much left for him. Like, I don't think he's gonna sit around and just fight scrubs. He wants John Jones, Stipe, or he's gonna wait around for Saragih to fight what's the name? Jelton Almeida. So it's only big names. So it's either John Jones, Stipe, or the winner of Saragih versus Jelton Almeida. And yeah, so it's just big matchups from here on out. Either legacy, getting John Jones or Stipe, or it's like fight that next up and comer, like that current generation fighter like himself, and then Saragih or Jelton Almeida. So big things for him only. What do you think's next for him?
Honestly, I think it was so dumb of Saragih not to call Tom Aspinall out when he was in the crowd. He definitely Saragih, even though he put on that performance, unless he did that against like Jelton Almeida, like I don't see how that grants him a title shot. I think that he's a beast. I think he definitely and I feel bad for Tom Aspinall because like he is in a predicament where the two people that he wants to fight, either Stipe or John Jones, are basically not available and probably won't be available because of them possibly retiring after that fight. They'll make a bunch of money, and I know it's a legacy fight for Tom Aspinall, and that's why he wants John Jones. I know it'll make a lot of money. That's why he wants John Jones. But it just I feel bad that he's in a position where he wants to fight someone but probably won't ever get the chance. I think it would be stupid of John Jones to fight him just because he's already called out Stipe and that fight's already happening. So it just wouldn't make sense. But I honestly at the heavyweight level, I don't think there's anybody that except for Curtis Blades. If you threw, because Curtis Blades beat him, right?
Yeah, but Curtis Blades ain't coming off of losses. Well, let me see. Yeah, Curtis Blades coming off a loss, and then it's what else he going through? He was supposed to fight Jelton Almeida, but that again he got injured. So I can see him winning that fight, but I feel like he don't really care too much about the fight. I'm like, oh, I lost this guy, I want to get that loss back. I feel he would take that matchup if Curtis Blades was putting in work and like, oh, Curtis Blades on 2-5 winning streak. I want that fight now. But Curtis Blades struggling. It's not like a case of where Curtis Blades, beat him, and embarrassed him or something really left some stain on his soul or something. He like, I got to get that one back. If anything, like, oh, this is a freak accident. I don't care too much about that. So there's no real big urgency. I feel. I don't think he even mentions Curtis Blades.
Yeah, and it was a freak accident. His leg got busted. If his leg didn't get busted, it would have been a long night for Curtis Blades. The only two fights I would really want to see is John Jones or Jelton Almeida, and it's just because of their dominance and Tom's dominance that I'd want to see that. What do you think is next for Sergey Pavlovich?
Sergey Pavlovich, he's in a weird predicament, to be honest. Like, the heavyweight division only got too much great talent. It's like I feel like it's all centered at the top, and I feel like he's beating most of the guys. Though he's beating, he's beating Derek Lewis already. He's beating I don't know, the name's eluding me right now, but he's beating pretty much everyone around him. I think the only person he really has that's right because he beat Curtis Blades as well. So the guy's kind of I know he could fight. He could fight Volkov. I just got all about Volkov. Russian versus Russian. Volkov's got some steam behind. I think it's an interesting matchup. I think even before the loss, it was an interesting matchup. And Volkov has very good chance to win. I feel like he's a more well-rounded fighter. He just don't got the power, but he definitely can pose threats everywhere. I feel like Pavlovich is kind of hoping for that big shot. So, or seemingly that's what it seemed like. So that's a good matchup for him. I think that's the best matchup for him next. I was gonna say try to jump in there and get us a real Gone matchup, and then he could hopefully get some big steam. And I think that would be actually low key be a safer matchup than Jelton Almeida is for, because Saragih is a much better striker than Pavlovich. Pavlovich has got more power, but Saragih technically is a far better striker than Pavlovich will ever be. So that would be at least a matchup where you don't have to fight a grappler. So that'd be a smart matchup for Saragih. But yeah, the people still have some hype around Pavlovich, despite getting starched in one round in like a minute. So I think that'd be a smart matchup for Saragih, so he can avoid Almeida. But it's a smart matchup for Pavlovich too, because if you could beat Saragih, you're right back where you at. But I think that what they're going to do is probably match him up with Alexander Volkov, and you already got Saragih and Almeida fighting for like pretty much a eliminator spot. So that makes the most sense. So Volkov, I think they match up perfectly where they are right now. What do you think next for him?
Yeah, I think the only fight that makes sense for Sergey Pavlovich is Saragih. That's the only fight I'd want to see for either fighter. I don't really want to see Jelton Almeida fight Saragih because I think he's just going to take him down, and there's nothing that Saragih is going to be able to do about it. The way Francis took him down, and that's Jelton's thing, is taking Derek Lewis down 20 times, and Derek Lewis is a beast. I don't care that he you know what I mean, wasn't able to get up. Getting him down is the hard part. Keeping him down is the easy part, because all he's got to do is, keep maneuvering and work through him trying to push him off him. But I wouldn't really want to see Sergey Pavlovich fight anybody besides Saragih. I wouldn't want to see. I would want to see Tom Aspinall first Saragih, but like not as much as Jelton Almeida or John Jones. And I think he's got bragging rights now, so he doesn't really have to worry about it. But what do you think's next for Yuri? That was tough, man.
Yuri is already bouncing back, or not bouncing back. Really, he ain't done nothing yet, but he's already, saying, posting pictures and posting stuff on Instagram, like, what's next? What's the next challenge? So I feel maybe he could fight the loser of Ankalaev versus what's his name, Johnny Walker, or maybe he could fight maybe the loser of Jamal Hill versus Alex Pereira. Maybe that's happening. So pretty much fighting the losers of these fights. I think Magma Ankalaev, if he wins, he's close to a title shot, or should get a title shot next. Maybe that Jan Blachowicz fight could open up. Jan Blachowicz loses his next fight, that could be a good match for him next. So he got some options. I feel if Jan Blachowicz lose, that'd be a good match for him next. Matter of fact, I feel like the win or lose. I feel like if Jan wins, they probably gonna give him a title shot. If Racket wins, they're not gonna give him a title shot. So if Jan loses, then maybe give him Jan. And if pretty much Jan or Racket. So if Jan loses, then get Jan. If Racket wins, then fight Racket, which kind of sound like either way, he gives him options. So basically, if Racket wins, he has two options. He can fight Jan for like a kind of a legacy fight, and still a big fight in the weight class, or he can fight Racket, the winner of the fight. But we're not too sure how those fights gonna play out. But I definitely think his next matchup is centered around how that fight plays out, because there's not really too much other options available right now for him, unless he wants to take an unnecessary risk and go too far down, like fighting Khalil Roundtree or fighting what's his name, the guy who's about to fight Khalil Roundtree. But yeah,
Volkan Ozdemir.
Nah, he's not about to fight Khalil Roundtree. He's the other guy, the other.
Ozmat Mirzakhanov.
Yeah, Ozmat Mirzakhanov.
Yeah, I was one of them. I didn't scroll far enough.
So what do you think next for Jerry?
Man, the only person I want to see him fight really is Magomed Ankalaev. I think everybody else from Jan Blachowicz down, I think he'll dust him, just because he's so awkward, and like he's not fighting a Alex Pereira who can knock you out with just a nice little check hook. Like he's Magomed, I really like him. I'm big on Magomed, so I think if Magomed beats Johnny Walker, I think they should pair those two up, and whoever wins that should fight the winner, be able to fight either Alex or Jamal. I think Jamal wipes Alex down, though. What do you think's next for Alex?
Next for Alex, either Adesanya or Jamal Hill. If Jamal Hill's not ready, then I guess he could fight the winner of Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. I think that makes most sense. But I think honestly, what I would want to see him fight next, I would want to see him fight Jamal Hill. But it seemed like that matchup just not there yet, really, because I feel like Jamal Hill still seems like he's injured, still seems like he got a lot of weight on him. So it's kind of like, when is that matchup gonna happen? I feel like Alex Pereira wants to wait a whole another year just to fight one guy. So yeah, Jamal Hill's not in shape. He's not fully recovered. So it's like I can see he was still in shape. He was out there working out, doing sit-ups or something, just keep himself tight. But like he looked like he walked around like 240, 250 right now, and he's still injured. So it seems like that's a long way away. So yeah, I think he probably gonna fight the winner of Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. That makes the most sense for him. What about you?
Well, I'm super lucky, man. I got a Jamal Hill signature. I didn't get Alex Pereira. I would have loved Alex Pereira. But I spoke with Jamal Hill and I said, yo, when are you fighting Alex? He's like second quarter next year. So anywhere from April to what? So June, April to June. So they could be on UFC 300. I mean, that's what Jamal Hill was saying. I mean, he said second quarter of next year. So that easily runs into UFC 300, because now Conor McGregor's off UFC 300 and they said the card's just way too stacked. So they don't need to have Conor on there, because they want I heard this guy, he has a podcast called Jesse on Fire. I like it a lot because he breaks down everything. But he was saying the UFC has to do 4 blowout events a year, one each quarter. So I think I hope that for UFC 300 we get Alex versus Jamal, and I think Jamal's just too slick. Like he beat Glover Teixeira, and that's a big nemesis of Alex Perez win over Yuri, kind of redeems Glover from his loss to Yuri. That's why he bugged out and jumped in the cage, threw him over his shoulders, and was like screaming like a kid. But yeah, I mean, I was really impressed with Alex. I bet under 3.5. I probably should have went the under 2.5 like I originally suggested, but I'm happy with the fight doesn't go to decision. It wasn't a great odds. It was like minus 550, but with that, like, you're gonna get it at some point. One of the guys is gonna get it. So yeah, it was really fun. I met a lot of people. I met Steve Ursa, great guy. God, I met Justin Gaethje. He was blasted. I was lucky to get him to sign my shirt, but he was like he just wanted to go upstairs, so I felt really bad. But yeah, I think Jamal Hill's next. From what Jamal said, I think he knows that it was his belt. He relinquished it, which automatically puts him in position to earn that title back, just like Yuri got. I think that's only fair. I wouldn't want to see the Israel Adesanya fight because I think it's just not the right time. I think Jamal Hill deserves it. Jamal Hill has earned it. It was his belt. He gave it up so that the UFC can keep moving forward, and he knows that he'll get that. He's number one no matter what. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
All right, cool. I think we went over everybody. We went over Prohaska, went over Pereira. Now on to the predictions, and yeah, like let's get to it. First fight on the card we have in the men's. Well, now let me stop saying men's. We have in the flyweight division. We got Charles Johnson versus Rafael Estevam. And for this one, I went low confidence. Charles Johnson to beat Rafael Estevam. Maybe in hindsight, gonna be a clearly easy to see bad prediction or bet or whatever the case may be with this one. But yeah, I went Charles Johnson. Well, I'm going Charles Johnson here. I just feel Rafael Estevam does not really fit the full mold. The guys that have been able to have success against Charles Johnson have been wrestlers. I feel like Estevam's wrestling isn't all that great. He has pretty solid BJJ, but nothing super phenomenal about his grappling that wasn't to the level that the other guys that have had success against um, Charles Johnson. I feel like Charles Johnson, and also he has shown the ability to get up from guys like Mukayev and Durden. So I feel like he could get up to the feet. He's shown good ability, decent takedown defense. even to get some good wrestling and ability to get back to his feet. So I think that would serve him well. And he has shown good submission defense. I don't think he has been submitted at any point in his career. So going up for grapple, I think he can stuff takedowns pretty well and scramble back to his feet pretty well, survive the submissions, and really wear Estevam down and just outstrike him. I think he has better conditioning, better cardio. I think he can push the better pace. And I think he beats Rafael Estevam in a very close decision. It's gonna be like, was the control time enough? Did he outland him enough? It's gonna be one of those very close fights that you can't really be too mad about which way it goes either way. But I think Charles Johnson gets the nod. So in this one, I got Charles Johnson via decision. Now over to Nicky Betts.
Yeah, this one I'm so on the fence about. It's a pick 'em pretty much right now. Um, I don't know who's going to win the fight. I think it's going to be very evenly matched. I think Charles Johnson possesses skills that'll help him where Rafael is good, and Rafael will have a little bit of an ability to keep up with him in his area as well. So I think it's a close fight. I really didn't know who to pick. I'm gonna lean Rafael Estevam in this one. I'm not really confident about it. I'm not really confident about this fight. I like the over 1.5, as you guys know, but their average fight time is 12 minutes 55 seconds and 7 minutes 25 seconds. So I just don't see any value in this fight as far as betting goes. I'm gonna love to watch it, but yeah, I think this is just an opportunity to see who's better, and it'll give me a little more insight for their next fight and say, oh, well, he did good or he did bad. So yeah, in this one, I got Rafael Estevam via decision. Low confidence, no bet.
All right, cool. Now to our next one, we have in the lightweight division, we got Nicholas Motta versus Trey Ogden. And high for this one right here, I'm going low confidence. Nicholas Motta to beat Trey Ogden. He's going to get straight to the point. I feel like Trey Ogden, well, no, he kind of have a little bit better momentum. If any of these guys got any momentum, he at least hasn't been getting knocked out, I guess. But I feel like stylistically, that's where it comes down to. I feel like Nicholas Motta is the more aggressive striker. He has more power. He's a little more tenacious. Whereas Ogden, for the most part, on the feet, like he just strikes not to get finished, or he just strikes to put something out there. So I just feel like Nicholas Motta is going to be more aggressive, throwing more shots. I feel he has good enough wrestling, offense, and defense to keep this fight on the feet, and then simply just outwork Trey Ogden, potentially knock him out. But again, Trey Ogden hasn't been getting knocked out by no one, so I just don't see a case where Nicholas Motta is going to land the heavier shots, land more shots, be more aggressive. Where Trey Ogden is kind of just really throwing a whole lot of empty, meaningless strikes, just kind of filling the stat board up, but not really throwing with much tenacity or much fight-ending intention. So yeah, Nicholas Motta is going to be skilled enough to keep it on the feet and be able to outwork and outland and land the heavier shots. So outwork, outland, and land the heavier shots than Trey Ogden in this one. So in this one, I got Nicholas Motta. And also another thing, Trey Ogden does not have a single knockout in his career. So particularly in the UFC. So another thing. So in this one, I got Nicholas Motta via decision. Now over to Nicky Betts.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Nicholas Motta is going to be the more aggressive, more technical, and just a little bit more well-rounded fighter compared to Trey Ogden. And I don't think Trey Ogden's horrible, but I this one's a pick 'em as well. Trey Ogden's plus 114 and Nicholas Motta's 135. I think that reflects pretty well. But I might bet this one. Nicholas Motta, low confidence, but they're both coming off losses. It's just it's not a super exciting fight for me. I hope that it is, and I eat my words, but I just don't see how Trey Ogden beats Nicholas Motta, which is unfortunate because Trey Ogden's put in a lot of work, but it is what it is. So in this one, I got Nicholas Motta via third round TKO.
All right, cool. Now to our next one. We have in the women's bantamweight division, we got Lucy Pudilova versus Alan Perez. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going to average confidence. Alan Perez to beat Lucy Pudilova. I feel like this is going to be a very close competitive fight. I feel like Pudilova is going to be more experienced. She's going to probably be more economical, but I feel like Alan Perez is just going to be more aggressive. And even when she makes like technical mistakes and, a little bit, not really conserving her energy the best and not really being as economical as she could be out there, she's going to find that extra gas tank. And it's, kind of fight like a scrappier fight. Like Pudilova might be fighting a little bit cleaner, but I feel like Alan Perez is going to be able to muscle some positions. She's going to be able to probably doing heavier shots, fighting for takedowns more, scrambling harder. and this ultimately just outwork Pudilova in this one, or just really out muscle outwork, and just beat her by being tenacious, I guess. That's what's going to win her the fight, and ultimately. But I think it's going to be a very close fight, but Alan Perez will get her hand raised. So in this one, I have Alan Perez via decision. Not over to Nicky Betts.
Yeah, I mean, Lucy Pudilova is 9-7. Alan Perez is 8-2. I think that speaks volumes. Lucy's coming off a loss. Alan's coming off a win. So there's a lot of things that are leaning towards Alan Perez in this one. Their average fight time is 13 minutes 23 seconds and 12 minutes 27 seconds. So I'll definitely bet the over 1.5 on this one. It seems pretty safe. Both girls definitely are not horrible, but are not amazing. They don't stand out to me in any way. So I won't bet Alan Perez as far as the money line goes, but I'll definitely bet the over 1.5. It seems pretty safe. So in this one, I got Alan Perez via decision, and on my bet will be over 1.5.
All right, cool. Now to our next one, we have in the featherweight division, we got Lucas Alexander versus Jekka Saragih. And for this one, I'll go average confidence. Lucas Alexander to beat Jekka Saragih. I just feel like what does Saragih really present? He's aggressive and a lot of bit sloppy, pretty one-dimensional. And I feel like Lucas Alexander just better everywhere. He's longer, he's lankier, he's more technical. And yeah, it's as simple as that. I think he get a stoppage over Saragih. I'm thinking like a second round TKO. I just feel like getting Saragih, what does he really present? Kind of hoping for a big shot. And when you look at Lucas Alexander, mostly in his career, how has he lost? Kind of been more so submitted, wrestled. Hasn't been a guy that's come out there with limited arsenal, limited skill, limited experience, and just going out there swinging for the fences and trying to knock his head off. It hasn't been that. So, yeah, I don't think Saragih really has no clear path to victory outside of a pretty, I guess, mediocre puncher's chance, or you're nothing, you're running the mill or less than running the mill puncher's chance. So, got to go the better overall fighter here, Lucas Alexander, versus a guy who don't really have no clear advantages over him at all. So, yeah, second round TKO for Lucas Alexander, kind of fill him out the first round, put him out the second round. So in this one, I got Lucas Alexander via second round TKO. Now up to Nicky Betts.
Yeah, I think all the numbers pretty much speak volumes for this fight. Lucas Alexander's -520 and Jekka Saragih is plus 390. I think that's perfect because he's coming off a loss. Lucas Alexander's coming off a win. I think the records, it looks like Jekka has about 5 more fights than around 5 more fights than Lucas. So he should have the experience, but I think probably the quality of fighter was not really up there when he got those 5 wins. I could be wrong, but I think it mostly comes down to significant strikes, and Jekka's information isn't even up here. But Lucas Alexander lands 5.05 punches per minute and only gets hit 1.76. So I think that is just the perfect explanation as to why he's such a favorite, why he'll probably do what everybody thinks he's going to do. And I thought the same thing against Nicholas Dalby and Gabriel Bonfim, and that really bit me. But like, I think everybody thought Bonfim was going to win, and I believe Lucas will win. I don't see any reason why he won't, and he's around the same numbers that Bonfim was. But I think this fight reflects better than the Nicholas Dalby fight. I think we all jumped the gun and didn't realize that Gabriel Bonfim didn't really make it out of the second or third round. He always ended it pretty quickly. You know what I mean? He made it sometimes halfway through if he was lucky. So I think it's an easy pick. I'll probably put him in my parlay. I hope he's not a parlay buster at -520, which is only $100 for 500, which is nothing. So yeah, in this one I got Lucas Alexander via. I'm gonna take the second round as well, TKO.
All right, cool. Now to our next one, we have in the heavyweight division, we got Mick Parkin versus Kyle Machado. think it's his name, Kyle Machado. So Mick Parkin versus Kyle Machado. I'm going low confidence. Mick Parkin to beat Kyle Machado. I feel like they match up pretty well, but I feel like also with this matchup, like it's two kind of unknowns. Like, yes, there are a good enough amount of fights from there, but it still haven't really seen too much UFC level experience. And also Kyle Machado is debuting, where Mick Parkin, this is his second run in the UFC. Well, I'm not like his second run, like he got cut or anything, but like this is his second matchup in the UFC. So they both won their contender series fights. Mick Parkin was able to get a win inside the UFC over Pogues. And Kyle Machado, this is his debut UFC fight. Not contender series fight, but his debut UFC fight. But yeah, I think this is a very close, competitive fight on paper. Not too sure, wasn't too sure which way to lean, but ultimately I had to lean Mick Parkin. I do like the fact that he had a win on the contender series, and he has had a win in the UFC. And I do feel like he mixes up more than Kyle Machado. I feel like Kyle Machado typically prefers to just strike primarily, doesn't really mix up too much. He does got some submission wins, but I feel like those were more opportunistic submissions instead of him actually really looking to go for the grappling to set those submissions up more so, again, reactionary, defensive, or, reactionary submission. So I think Mick Parkin will likely be the one who will mix it up more in this very close fight. And I think that's what will win him the fight. But very close fight, no matter what. But I think it goes the distance, and I think Mick Parkin gets his hand raised. So in this one, I had Mick Parkin via decision. Not over to Nicky Betts.
Yeah, I think everybody is on the same page with Mick Parkin. He's a beast. He's definitely putting in work when it comes to his resume. He's going out there and doing what he's supposed to do. I want to say this fight doesn't go to decision because Kyle lands 8 punches per minute and Mick Parkin lands 6. So I'm hoping that it's a swing and bang type of event, and it, one person gets dominated. I do like Mick Parkin in this one. I probably will take him in a bet in a parlay as well. I think because he's been reliable in the past, I can count on him to be reliable in this fight as well. So in this one, I got Mick Parkin via 3rd round TKO.
All right, cool. Now to our next one, we have in the middleweight division, we got Christian Leroy Duncan versus Dennis Tiuliulin. So Christian Leroy Duncan versus Dennis Tiuliulin. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going average confidence Christian Leroy Duncan to beat Dennis Tiuliulin. Just not really saying much from Tiuliulin. He like 1 round or bust type fighter for the most part. He had okay fight against Alex Saragih or whatever case. But at one point, Alex Saragih was very green, and he's still coming into his own. So, and he has had other terrible performance or lackluster performance against other guys who aren't all that good. And like Chad Honeycomb, that other South African dude who I think lost on the contender series and whatnot. But yeah, it's not like Ikram Alisarov has just always been this beast or even all that much of a beast right now. So it just can't be like, oh, he fought Ikram Alisarov and went to 3rd round. That's not enough of a measuring stick for what I really see from him is his performance in the UFC or his losses in the UFC, where he would just pretty much dominate and picked apart by anyone that wasn't like falling over for him. And I don't think Christian Leroy Duncan's gonna fall over for him. I think he's a better striker at every point in this fight. He's the better grappler, better overall fighter. I think he's a longer, lankier, more athletic. Pretty much all advantage going to him. So Dennis Tiuliulin is kind of hoping for like a 1st round finish or landing a big punch. And I just don't think Christian Leroy Duncan's going to do it. So I think Christian Leroy Duncan could be his dynamic, kind of a little bit off the wall self, mix it all up, and just really look to chew up Tiuliulin and put him away 2nd round. So in this one, I have Christian Leroy Duncan via 2nd round TKO. Now over to Nicky Betts.
Yeah, I think Father Time is on Christian Leroy Duncan's side. He's 28. Dennis Tiuliulin is 35. They're about the same height, about the same reach. So I think Dennis Tiuliulin, the Ikram fight, I think just kind of sealed his fate for me. I don't know if I'll ever go with him, and it's not because Ikram's a horrible fighter, but it's because if that can be done to him, then anybody can do it to him, and that's kind of my opinion. I know that that's not always true, but I think I have like a medium confidence in Christian Leroy Duncan. I like that he's 8-1. Dennis Tiuliulin's 10-8, so he's almost had as many wins as he has losses, and it's in the double digits almost. So I have a medium confidence in Christian Leroy Duncan. I'm going to say 2nd round TKO. So in this one, I got Christian Leroy Duncan via 2nd round TKO.
Now to our next fight we have in bantamweight division. We got Chad Anheliger versus Jose Johnson. And how do I feel about this one right here? I'm going low confidence Jose Johnson to beat Chad Anheliger. I just feel like Jose Johnson has all the upsides, or the upsides, I guess. I know I was basically just said the same thing, but yeah, I feel he has the upside. I feel like he's taller. He should be the better striker, should be better grappler, but low confidence because I just feel like he hasn't really shown nothing. It's not like he has came in here and got some wins or he got a win in the contender series, but he still has a lot to show me. So I can't really get too much confidence in him. But I'm gonna go decision victory here for Chad. Not Chad. I'm going decision victory here for Jose Johnson here. I think he'll be the mix up very well, but I think Anheliger has shown to be tough and not a guy that just gets folded up. And it's not like Jose Johnson just this amazing talent or anything just yet, or hasn't shown that to be that just yet. So I think it goes the distance. I think probably a good start for Jose Johnson, but maybe Anheliger comes on a little bit late, but a little bit too little, too late, I guess. And that's really my prediction. I just feel like Jose Johnson should be able to get out to a good start and enough to cover his final round or final minutes and get a decision victory over Chad Anheliger. So in this one, I got Jose Johnson via decision. Not over to NickyBets.
Man, this one's up in the air for me. It's definitely the upside for Jose Johnson. He's 15-8. Chad Anheliger is 12-6. They're both coming off losses, but he's got about almost 6 inches in height and like almost 10 inches in reach. So I think if he can keep him at distance, like I think the fight's gonna go, it should be an easy win for Jose Johnson if he just utilizes what he knows and it doesn't get caught up in his game and the other guy's game. I think it should be an easy win. So in this one, I got Jose Johnson. I'll say by decision. I will bet the over 1.5 in this because both guys have a good over 1.5. So yeah.
All right, cool. Now to our next one. We have in the featherweight division, we got Jonathan Pearce versus Joe Anderson Brito. And how I feel about this one right here, going low confidence Brito to beat, well, Joe Anderson Brito to beat Jonathan Pearce. I feel like Pearce has a good style. He can throw up a lot of volume, but he's definitely not a good striker. I don't know what people, I don't care what no one try to say, like, oh, he's a good striker. He's this, that. He is not. He's an okay striker. He does a lot of volume, but not a whole lot of purpose behind what he throws. It's really just throwing shots out there for the most part. What he's best at is like take you down and controlling you. And I feel like Brito has good enough strength. He has good enough grappling to, not be an easy target for the grappling. I mean, not saying that he's going to go out there and be the better grappler necessarily with overall MMA wrestler grappler out there. But I do think he's good enough to address it. And I think he can land the heavier shots on heavier, more impactful, more purposeful strikes against Jonathan Pearce here. And eke out a decision. I think it's going to be a very close fight. But I think it goes the distance, and I think Brito wins. I think he's going to land more effective shots. And I just feel like with the style of Pearce, he's not really going to throw no real good kicks to the body, no real hooks to the body, no uppercuts to the body, no knees to the body. He's not really going to be invested to, really wear down. He's not going to be working behind the jab. Again, there's a lot of meaningless strikes, probably a lot of front kicks and stuff, a lot of little weak stuff that's going to end up with him getting countered for doing the weak stuff that he does throw up. But yeah, I do it like I said, competitive fight nonetheless. I think Pearce can go hard for the takedowns. Pearce going to throw up a lot of volume, though, really sloppy striking typically from him. And I think Brito's going to land harder and be to address the grappling, which is going to make the fight close. So, and I think the judge is going to favor the harder shots, the bigger damage, the bigger moments from Brito in this one, and give him the decision victory. So, in this one, I have Joe Anderson Brito via decision. Not over to NickyBets.
Yeah, I think the same exact way for the same exact reasons. I like Joe Anderson Brito. I think he's a little bit of a dog, and I love that. That'll give me some money, like Diego Lopes gave me last week. So I'm happy with that. He's a plus like 110. I'll probably bet a money line. He'll probably be one of my main picks just because he's such good money for the price. So I'm not really gonna say too much about why, because I feel like I've seen him perform in the past, and I feel like if he does like Diego Lopes and he performs, he'll win. So that's my pick. Joannis and Brito, probably by decision as well.
All right, cool. Now on to our next one. We have in the welterweight division, we got Earls Medic versus Mittebek or Oralbai. I'm gonna say Oralbai, Mittebek Oralbai. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going Earls Medic, low confidence to beat Mittebek Oralbai, and really a lot of this lack of confidence because like who is this guy Mittebek Oralbai? They just defrosted this guy to ice and just brought him out of here. So I don't know how to feel about him. I don't know if he actually got like a sleeper talent or just a guy who seems to have a couple good attributes about him, and he has been fighting like mediocre competition. So it's still a very question mark. I still don't think he deserves to be a favorite. I think right now people say that he's like minus something, and Orlando Medici's like plus 135. So that don't make no sense. He hasn't done nothing to warrant being favored. Yeah, it is. It's crazy, but I'm gonna say Orlando Medici. I feel like he's taller, lankier. I feel like he has a more credible track record between the two. And yeah, but I just feel like Oralbai, he definitely reminds me a lot of Zhalgas Zhumagulov, like a guy who's not really good at anything, but he's okay everywhere and he's tough, so he gets by. Like he not the best offensive wrestler, but he has pretty good wrestling defense, so guys can't just lay on him. He got a strong chin, so guys can't just knock him out and just run over him. Well, not until recently in Zhalgas Zhumagulov's career. So, and I feel like that's what he reminds me of. A guy that's not really special at all, but he's just okay everywhere. And got a decent little power, got some chin, and he got heart. And I feel like Orlando Medici should be to be that. I feel like Orlando Medici again will have height, reach, more technique. And I feel like he'll be able to address the wrestling, just be able to outstrike him. But again, a tough guy and Mittebek, Oralbai, I think he'll show good account for himself. But I think Orlando Medici should be able to outstrike him to a decision victory here. So in this one, I have Orlando Medici via decision. None over to Nicky Betts.
Yeah, I mean, after Euros Medic's last performance, I want to shoot him on this one. I'm going to shoot him as well. Um, I I want to see anybody from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, all the stands. I want to see people thrive like God, what's his name? I forget at the moment, but there's a guy from Afghanistan who's coming up right
Aziz
now. Yeah,
or some other.
no, not Fazeev. He's a lightweight, but he's from Afghanistan, but he's a beast too. Like he's been getting, yeah, he's been getting us paid lately. I know we both took him in his last one, so I'm happy with that. Um, but if this dude can put Eurosmetic out, I'll be looking at this dude a whole lot different after Saturday. Like on Saturday, I'll probably bet this one as well, just because the odds are so good, and like I think it's time for him to get a win, and I think he's kind of Euros is really put in his work in the UFC, and maybe he can get an upset like the Bonfim fight, because this is not the same odds, but around the same. Relatively plus 200 is a lot of money if he wins, so I could easily see it going like that, and that's probably how it'll go. And I would think otherwise once this dude performs on Saturday, and I'll bet money on it just so I have a little bit of interest in it, and I know that I want to watch that fight because I have a reason to. So I think this is a good fight for both fighters. And yeah, I'm super excited. So I'll take Eurosmetic by I'll say by decision, because the guy that he's fighting looks pretty tough, but yeah, um he might get a finish, who knows. It happened in the Bonfim fight. So yeah, and this one I got a Eurosmetic via decision, and I'll probably just bet the money line on this one.
All right, cool. Now to our next one. We have our first fight. Well, it's not our first fight on the main card. It's our second fight on the main card. We have in the women's strawweight division, we got Amanda Ribas versus Luana Pinheiro. And I'm going Amanda Ribas average confidence to beat Luana Pinheiro. I feel like the biggest issue with Amanda Ribas is surprisingly strikers. And that's surprisingly, it's not like her issues are better grapplers or better this. Her issue has been people that could touch her chin, like Marina Rodriguez touched her chin, Macy Barber touched her chin. And in the past, she got knocked out by Ariane Lipsky, or I don't know if that was her or someone else, or was another fighter who knocked her out. But it's been at least 3 times now she's got TKO'd. It hasn't been by necessarily better grapplers. And I think Pinheiro, I think she got okay power at times, but I feel like she hasn't been able to truly channel it, so I can't really trust her power. And then on the other side, Luana Pinheiro has been having these questionable performances against fighters that she probably should have beaten easier. I feel like she got away with like kind of stole a fight against Michelle Waterson. And I think it was one of the fights she fought. I forget the other chick name. She had like a red hair, and she was on the Ultimate Fighter along with these other women. I say these other women. She was on there with Michelle Waterson, Carla Esparza, and all of them. I forget her name though. But yeah, and she kind of got away with that one because of an up kick, but she was like clearly fading, but she, did an Aljamain and acted out of it and was able to get a DQ victory. So it's clearly showing like she got cardio issues. And I feel like Amanda Hebus, is matched up with her well enough to be able to, hold her on feet with her, outwork her, take her to the deep rounds, and I think she taps her out. So I think she's able to exploit the lack of cardio or pacing or whatever issue she had, the Zabit curse, I guess, without the talent of Zabit, and take her to the later rounds, then finish her submission third round. So in this one, I have Amanda Hebus via third round submission. Now over to Nikki Betts.
Yeah, I don't look at this fight like I look at the Jessica Andrade versus Mackenzie Dern fight. I look at this fight a lot like the Tabitha Ritchie versus Lupi Godinez fight, number 9 fighting number 10, not where like you're Benoit Saint Denis, and I know Benoit has talent. I definitely booed him on Saturday a lot. I was screaming. I lost my voice because I felt so bad for Matt and his home crowd. So I was definitely I don't think that number 10 is like him. I think that number 10 is like, I mean, these numbers are much like the Lupi Godinez versus Tabitha Ritchie. Two skilled fighters. One's just a little bit better than the other, though, and that's where Amanda Hebus is probably going to flourish. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty easy read as far as like the fight goes. I think the odds have it pretty well, -238 to plus 195. But I could see how like Tabitha Ritchie kept coming back for Lupi, and it was a rough night for both of them, but it was a war, and I think I see this going a lot like that. So easy pick, Amanda Hebus, probably by decision, just like that fight went too.
All right, cool. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Peyton Talbott versus Nick Aguirre. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going average confidence Peyton Talbott to beat Nick Aguirre. I don't know about, matter of fact, I definitely win average confidence. I like this guy, a fresh kid off the Ultimate Fight, off of the Contender Series. So I ain't going no more than high with any of them like that until they really give me a reason to get them high. And then the odds on this are ridiculous. So just because I'm picking them don't mean I'm out here saying, hey, you guys need to bet your whole money on this guy -5. I would tell you right now, I'd rather you avoid that fight than bet a single dollar on that profit or anything, because you're still dealing with a young fighter, and he has some of the worst striking defense, I've ever seen right now. But he's a young kid. I think we're like barely 20, barely 20 years old. So hopefully he'll tune that in. But right now, he like literally got no head movement at all. He be tanking shots on the chin daily against no matter who he's fighting. So that's a person that should not be -805 ever when you don't got basic striking defense. You might be able to tank some shots right now, but even the next thing you know, you get dropped by a cannon and your career is like spiraling down because you didn't work on your fundamentals. So again, that person should not be -805. It's not even a perfect stylist matter. He don't really even got a style. He's not like some crispy striker. He's not no great wrestler. He's just I guess a big kid relying on his talents, but he don't really got no true archetype just yet. He just fighting. That's what he does. I wrestled in high school for 2 years. I boxed one summer. That's what he gives me. He don't give me like, oh, I was a D1 wrestler. He don't give me I was a Golden Gloves. He don't give me I was an amateur standout. He just like, yeah, I just did a couple things and I'm here. But he should be Nick Aguirre. I feel like Nick Aguirre is not really impressive either way. I know like any particular area, and I feel like Peyton Talbott will be good enough to be able to stuff the takedowns. Just make it a scrap, stuff the takedowns, and force Aguirre to fight his fight. And again, Aguirre's not no amazing talent, so he'll be able to fall with into his style of fight. And I think Peyton Talbott should be able to just overwhelm him, land the heavy shots. It's gonna be his style of fight. He's gonna be scrapping, and that's not gonna favor Aguirre. And I think Peyton Talbott just gonna run him over and put him away in the second round. Again, at -800, I would say just leave that alone for sure. But as far as prediction wise, I'm going Peyton Talbott second round TKO. So in this one, I got Peyton Talbott via second round TKO. Now over to Nicky Betts.
Yeah, this is straight up a public service announcement, bro. Fade this fight. Minus 800, like there's no value anywhere. I mean, even if I would look at what like the odds are on maybe like KO or something like that, but like I can't even mess with minus 800. I don't care if the dude's 6-0 to a guy fighting 7-1. Like it maybe he wins. Maybe he Hamzats him. Maybe he just like steamrolls him. But like I don't know. I'll make a deal, bro. I'll bet on his next fight if he does well this fight. That's the way I look at this one. And if I'm gonna bet on him at all, it's gonna be for good odds, not plus minus 800. You have to spend $800 to make $100. Like, where is the value in that? Even in a parlay, like, what if the dude just like, like takes his foot off the gas and just gets slept? Like I think the Gabriel Bonfim fight for everybody should just be like a a breath of fresh air. Like, don't ever think you know something more than you know it. And like I went hard on a Saturday, like a 7-leg parlay. I bet $50 and made $1,200. Like you can't really argue with that math. Like, but minus 800, bro, like don't do it. Just don't do it. Like, I'll give Peyton Talbott the nod, but I could easily see Nick Aguirre stealing the show, just because that's how it works. Like, someone just comes out with a little bit more whatever, but like even that, like you're better on betting on Nick Aguirre like $100 than you would be betting $800 on the other guy. So I just don't see any value in it. So yeah, in this one I gotta say Peyton Talbott, third round TKO.
All right, cool. Now to our next one. We have in the lightweight division, we got Jordan Leavitt versus Chase Hooper. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going low confidence Chase Hooper to beat Jordan Leavitt. Really another case where these guys just match up very well. Jordan Leavitt did get like with his first knockout in his whole life in his last fight, so that's something to factor in there to some extent. But I can't really get behind someone's knockout throw when it's just their first knockout, and I feel like he didn't really even believe he could do that. Like, it just happened. He like, oh, I can knock guys out. I never done that in the gym. I never did. So, hey, it might inspire something new in him, but I just think he's gonna go back to his typical self, probably spamming leg kicks, really ineffective striking, just really pile up the board, kind of similar to another fight on his way into some card, where like where's the real actual effective offense? He just out there spamming leg kicks and not kind of scared and gunshot to throw any real effective strikes. And ultimately, for the fight comes down to, I think Chase Hooper is just more aggressive, more active, and I think he'll just outwork Jordan Leavitt. Yes, Jordan Leavitt has one finish, but at this point, or one relevant kind of finish or recent finish, which is in last fight. But I just see these guys going to a decision here. I think it'll be competitive scramble, but I think Jordan Leavitt going to throw, not Jordan Leavitt. I think Chase Hooper's going to throw more. I think in the grappling exchanges, he's going to be the guy transitioning more, scrambling more. Gonna have more energy to grapple and roll around and not just like kind of just sit in positions where I feel like Leavitt's gonna try to get into these positions and try to just like maintain them. I feel like Hooper's going to be more willing to have that extra effort, that extra energy to fight out of position. Whereas Leavitt, I feel like he gets on bottom. I feel like he's going to spend a lot of time on bottom. I feel like Hooper's not going to be as willing to just rest on bottom. He's going to be more active to hit, go for submissions, go for sweeps, go for reversals. And again, like really try to work. Like, you don't have more energy, especially being that young guy who still he hasn't yet hit puberty. So when you're that young and lanky like that, those guys have a lot more energy. And I feel like that's going to benefit Hooper a lot in this one. So in this one, I got Chase Hooper via decision. Now over to Nicky Betts.
Yeah, this is another fight I'm gonna fade hard. I think Jordan Leavitt's a good jiu-jitsu guy going against Chase Hooper, who's a decent striker. So it's who's just a little bit better in this one. For my parlay, I'm gonna do all underdogs because we went ham last week and won big. So I'm gonna see if I can hit 3 dogs on the same card. just because I'm feeling lucky. But yeah, Chase Hooper, decent striker, and Jordan Leavitt, decent jiu-jitsu. So there's not much to say. I'll go Chase Hooper, low confidence, via decision. I think Jordan Leavitt's just going to be a step behind, and it's going to be it should be an easy win for Chase Hooper. Jordan Leavitt's kind of like awkward and doesn't really know what he's doing. So like I could if Chase Hooper can push the pace, I could see how he could definitely easily win it. So yeah, and this one I got Chase Hooper via decision.
All right, cool. Now to our next one. We have in the not lightweight, we have in the welterweight division in our co-main event, we got Jake Matthews versus Michael Morales. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going what I'm going. I think I went high. Well, I don't know what it is, but average confidence, Michael Morales to beat Jake Matthews. So either way, I'm picking Michael Morales. Whether it be average or high, I'm picking Michael Morales to win. I just think he's better than Jake Matthews in all areas. And unlike Bonfim, he has experience going 15 minutes. So he's not just a one-round guy. So he has shown ability to go 15 minutes. And it's also not like Jake Matthews, like that cardio fiend necessarily, like what's his name? Nicholas Dalby. Dalby has always shown to be like a cardio fiend. And they even say, oh, his resting BPM or whatever beats per minute is like no phenomenal, like kind of similar how they were talking about Bisbing and whatnot back in the day. But yeah, so it's not like Jake Matthews is necessarily that guy that grinds people down and breaks them, and that's not really his style, or he don't have those attributes. So I feel he could go 15 minutes good with Jake Matthews. I think he will beat Jake Matthews in a full 3-round decision. I think he'll be able to win most of the minutes of this fight, and clearly be the one ahead. I think he's longer, he's lankier, he's faster, he's athletic, he's stronger. I think he's the better striker, and I think he's at least the better wrestler. I'm not gonna say the better like BJJ guy for sure, but I definitely think he's the better wrestler, and he can control where the fight goes. I think he can outstrike him. And but yeah, Jake Matthews still got a sturdy chin on him. Hasn't really been chin checked too much, so he has shown good chin, good heart. So he'll be able to stay in the fight. But I definitely think Michael Morales is just gonna be a couple steps ahead of him. And again, just bigger, faster, more athletic, more technical, and has in general just a better fighter everywhere. And by in general, I'm not saying like every single little facet, every little intricate detail, but broadly speaking, he's better everywhere, and I think he'll show it. So in this one, I got Michael Morales via decision. None over to Nicky Betts.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it brief. I'm gonna keep it on point. Their average fight time, 11 minutes, 19 seconds, 11 minutes, 11 seconds, over 1.5 live. I'll take the over 1.5. I'm not going to say too much about how I think it goes, but I think Michael Morales squeaks out the win. I think Jake Matthews might be able to go on Bonfim him. Yeah, I don't even know at this point. I have to watch Jake Matthews on Saturday, and if he proves to me something that he can be a Nicholas Dalby, then I will give him that, and I will never doubt him again. But until then, I'll just go an easy over 1.5. But Michael Morales, low confidence.
All right, cool. Now to our next one. We have in our main event in the middleweight division, we got Brendan Allen versus Paul Craig. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going high confidence, Brendan Allen to beat Paul Craig. Paul Craig definitely has a good shot. Maybe the comp is maybe a little bit too high, but I just don't feel like he's gonna really make a dent at this weight class, like a real, dent. Like come here, win, and start stacking them like real consistently stacking up ranked guys. I don't see that happening here this weight class. And going in with Brendan Allen, I feel like Brendan Allen, when you look at his track record, what he loses to guys who can really touch his chin. Now I just feel like Paul Craig really doesn't really consistently have that confidence in his striking. I feel like where he gets most of his biggest wins is like in the ground game, like submitting people, especially when they kind of sleep on the ground game. And I feel like Brendan Allen has some of the best BJJ that and grappling awareness and grappling skills in general that Paul Craig has forward in his career. And I feel like he'll be able to definitely hold his own there, maybe even beat Paul Craig there. I'm not gonna say he submits Paul Craig, but I feel like he can address Paul Craig grappling. Should he go out there and make that his aim? I don't think so. I think that'd be dumb, but I think he can hold his own there, be comfortable enough there, but stay locked in and handle the area. But where I think he gets it done is I think he gets it done on the feet. I think he'll be able to press Paul Craig, really just continue to make Paul Craig feel his power, make Paul Craig feel his presence, and really break Paul Craig down. And I think he puts away Paul Craig late in the second round. So in this one, I got Brendan Allen via second round TKO. Now to Nicky Betts.
Yeah, I'm going Paul Craig this one. I don't know why. Um, I just feel like uh, the Bear Jew is on like a high that he doesn't want to get off, and he's probably gonna do something spectacular on Saturday, and I hope he does because last time I bet against him and I ate my words, bro. So I'm definitely not sleeping on this dude this time. I'll go low confidence. He will be a part of my parlay. So I think we got a pretty easy understanding of Brendan Allen versus Paul Craig, and I'm just gonna shoot Paul Craig on this one. So in this one, I got Paul Craig over 1.5.
All right, cool. So that wraps up the predictions. Now onto the parlays. So for my parlay, I'm gonna do Allen, Brendan Allen. That's the first one. It was really the last one, but no particular order. So we got Brendan Allen, got Michael Morales, got what else I want to add? I already had some person in mind.
Joe Anderson Brito.
No. So Brendan Allen, Morales. I don't know why the name. Oh yeah, Duncan. So Brendan Allen, Michael Morales, Christopher Duncan, and I'll wrap it up with Lucas Alexander. So I did that in reverse order. So, but let's do this again. Lucas Alexander, Christian Leroy Duncan, um, Michael Morales, and Brendan Allen. So a four-piece parlay, and that'll be my parlay for the week, or the public parlay for the week, or the YouTube parlay for the week, whatever you want to call it. And now over to Nicky Best for his parlay or parlays.
So yeah, in this one, I'm gonna take Joe Anderson Brito. I'm doing all dogs on this one. Euro Smetic, and let's go Paul Craig. And I don't even know what that'll be if it hits, but it's gonna be high as shit. I know we're gonna be able to get some good money off that if that hits. And I think that's for this week, that's kind of what makes sense. Um I think that all three people have a chance of winning, and I think it's worth betting on. I'll probably also bet the Jake Matthews fight over 1.5. But outside of that, I got Joe Anderson Brito, I got Euro Smetic, and I got Paul Craig. And I'll bet if you're feeling lucky, you could put in the half a parlay of over 1.5 in the Jake Matthews fight.
All right, cool. So that wraps up our parlays, that wraps up the predictions, and that wraps up the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.